In this session, we're going to talk about the building and the structure. And we're going to start with the footings and foundations. So the easiest way to distinguish between footings and foundations is just think of yourself, right? The footings are what transfers the load to the ground. And that load is transferred for you by your feet. Those are the footings. They're usually larger, wider, to transfer a greater load. The foundations are what transfers the load of the building to the footings. Those would be your legs. So you have footings, transfers the load to the ground, and then the foundation transfers the load to the footings. When we look at our drawings in CapBus, they have a couple drawing sheets dedicated to this. You'll see this on S101 and S102. And they've illustrated the footings by dark dash lines. And it's not exactly clear when you look at this drawing how large the footings are or what's going on. So let's go through that. These drawings use designations to describe the footings. And then you have to look up those designations in a schedule. And as we've learned in the past, the best place to look is on the drawing itself. So as in this example, where we have a designation of F2, when we look up that in the schedule, we find that that footing is a 2-foot continuous footing. But there's this other thing next to the F2 that's kind of confusing. This number in parentheses. What does that mean? Well, there is a section symbol here, so let's go look at the section to see if we can find out. When we go to the section, we see that the footing is spaced so far below the slab, and that distance is designated as C drawing. So that tells us what that number is. When we go back to the plan, we see that it says 1 foot 4 inches, so now we know that the top of the footing to the top of the slab is 1 foot 4 inches. And we know what that means throughout the drawing. And it may vary in different locations, but now we know what that means. There's another designation up there, HSS4. Well, we have to figure out what this means. And it's very similar to things that we've done in the past. We're probably going to find it on a schedule somewhere. When we look on this drawing, we do find it, but it's not in a schedule. So it's not as clear as some things in the past. In the notes, it tells us HSS4 is 4 by 4 by 1/4. But that doesn't tell us what it is. These drawings don't tell you what HSS is. You could look all over the drawings and not find it. Look in sections, look in details, and it still refers it to HSS. So you just have to know that that is a hollow structural section or a hollow structural steel. It's a column. All right, let's try this again. Let's flip over to S102. And here we can see some more footings with the designation of F8T. Once again, let's find that schedule. Look up F8T, see what it says about it, and we can see that this is an 8 foot by 8 foot by 2 foot thick footing. And it has number 7 rebar in it. So it's that easy to find the details for these various things. Now let's flip back to S101 and look at one last thing. On this drawing, we have this thing called control joints. You can barely pick these up, but these are dotted lines that go across the slab in a grid pattern. And these are to indicate where you're going to saw cut to put control joints for the cracking of the concrete. So now let's move on to the roof framing plan and how to read this. On this plan, what you're going to find is the use of a lot of wide flange beams. Now these beams are carrying most of the load and transferring it to the columns. And you see that on the perimeter of the building. Then you have these roof trusses that sit on those wide flange beams. Both the wide flange beams and the roof trusses have designations of exactly what they are, and they vary throughout the plan. Those designations are industry standards, so you're not going to find those in a schedule or table on the drawings.